Welcome to Module 1 of Media Awareness 101. This module is called Introduction to the Media. The most important question that we answer in this module is probably what is media? Without this understanding, you'll feel very lost the rest of this course. Media refers to systems of communication of information. So these are different tools, methods, and styles of getting your message from one place to another. For example, modern day media might include social media, the way we communicate our updates about our lives on Facebook or Instagram. When we talk about communication on a large scale, TV, radio, newspaper, social media, we really mean mass media, right? That's a term for communicating information on a very large scale to many, many people around the world. Unfortunately, although media has many benefits, its reliability varies, and it's important to understand that not all media is created equal. Not every piece of media is reliable simply because it's well designed or is interesting to us. Major types of mass media throughout history include newspapers, radio, television, and more. But prior to the 15th century, life was very different. With each new type of media being invented, more and more things become possible. Before the 15th century, for example, if you had a really brilliant idea and you lived in Europe, the only hope you had of getting that information made into copies and sent to many, many people was to work with the Roman Catholic Church, who employed the use of hundreds of thousands of monks who would copy your book hand by hand, letter by letter, one word at a time, into multiple copies. Obviously, there are some limitations. The Roman Catholic Church selected what types of information they would publish, and if your findings went against their beliefs, it was unlikely you would be published. In addition, monks were human, and human error leads to misunderstandings and misrepresentation of your message. So even if your book was copied several times, there are likely to be some errors that may impact understanding of your reader. After the invention of the printing press by Gutenberg in the late 1400s, life was very, very different. It becomes possible to use a movable type to instantly press your image of your text onto many pieces of paper at rapid speed. And by the turn of the 15th century into the colonial era in North America, the colonists found this system incredibly useful. Newspapers began to spread around the world, and Benjamin Franklin especially is very famous for creating the Pennsylvania Gazette, which allowed the colonists to communicate instantly throughout all 13 colonies. At the outbreak of the Revolutionary War, you can imagine this becomes super helpful. When things start to escalate and violence breaks out, newspapers communicate this to all colonists, so everybody is prepared. By the time message reached England, all those colonists had time to prepare their militias and gather arms. By the early 20th century, the invention of the radio makes it possible to hear voices for the first time long distances. This revolutionizes the way that people communicate. And even into later, more contemporary American history, with the fireside chats, our presidents start to feel more connected to their citizens through the use of the radio. By the mid-20th century, television, although not in the graphic and detail we see it today, has revolutionized the way people see the world. For the first time, they can watch the Queen's coronation across the sea, and they can see events unfold in war. It really changes the perception of how large the world is when you can see people so far away. One really interesting example of how media inventions shock and change a community is Samuel Morse's invention of Morse code and the telegraph. You might recognize his name from Morse code, which is still used today by the Navy in submarines and in some other fun aspects like Boy Scouts. What hath God wrought has become synonymous with that emotion that a community feels when a new technology is invented. This was the first message ever sent by a telegraph from one location to another, and that person was Samuel Morse. He himself was shocked and in awe by the incredible power that you had to instantly communicate a message. This revolutionized war, for example, allowing Lincoln to move his troops at rapid speed, despite the Southerners having the advantage of territorial knowledge. It also makes distance living a lot easier when you can communicate with family back home in New York City while you begin your farm in the modern West. This invention, like all others you'll study in this module and beyond, have stunned and shaped humanity. It's important that we understand their incredible power for both good and negative consequences in our society. For example, there are flaws in media. These two images are supposed to represent the same exact event, the Boston Massacre of the Revolutionary period. However, on the left, we see the British soldiers lined up, well armed, attacking what appears to be an innocent group of Americans. This is created by Paul Revere, a colonist. On the right, we see a much different scene. Here, we see colonists and the British involved in what appears to be more of a brawl, British soldiers caught off guard, defending themselves from unruly colonists who also appear to be armed with swords and clubs. Which image is correct, we'll never possibly know. Because there are no living observers of this event, we must rely on the media that was created. And in all honesty, the truth probably lies somewhere between them. But this is the fatal flaw in media, and this is why it's important to study how it works, how it impacts society, and how we can begin to evaluate which sources are possibly more accurate than others. Your goal for this module is now to continue the reading and learn more about how different types of media work and how they've changed history, so that later in this course you can look at modern day media, evaluating characteristics of effective and reliable media, and evaluating the impact of the fake news we are now so surrounded with. Good luck!